Hello dear students of class 7. We will start today the fourth chapter from your reader, your supplementary reader, and the name of the chapter is The Cop and the Anthem. The Cop and the Anthem. Okay, let us find out what the chapter has for us. Have you ever found yourself in a situation in which what happened was the opposite of what you expected? If so, you are familiar with the irony of the situation, which is often embarrassing. The story that you are going to read has a number of such situations. A situation in which you don't expect the result, but it is an unexpected result, and what you're expecting does not happen, and the opposite happens. Well, the story, The Cop and the Anthem, has been written by O. Henry. O. Henry has a pseudonym. Pseudonym means a false name. This is a false name actually, and the real name of O. Henry is William Sidney Porter. He was an American writer, and he was born in 1862, and he died in 1910 in New York. He's a celebrated writer, and every story that you read about from him is unique and touching. It touches your heart. So I hope, students, that you find out more about O. Henry and read more stories. He has written some wonderful stories, and every class at least has one story from O. Henry. So let us find out about the story. There are certain points that are given here for us to start the story. Soapy is homeless, jobless man. He is a jobless man. Winter is fast approaching, and Soapy must have a place to stay. Soapy comes to a decision at last. So he is jobless, he is homeless, he doesn't have any place to live, and he's outside on the streets, and it is very, very cold. It's winter time, and so he comes to a decision. Let's read the story. Soapy moved restlessly on his seat in Madison Square. There are certain signs to show that winter is coming. Birds begin to fly south. People want new warm coats, and Soapy moves restlessly on his seat in the park. When you see these signs, you know that winter is near. So, as we just read in this paragraph, there are certain signs of winter. Well, the first thing is that Soapy moved restlessly on his seat in Madison Square. Madison Square is in New York. It's in the center of it's actually the heart of New York, and there are beautiful gardens there, and it's a very, very large square. And so there are many people who come out there, but then during summertime it's very nice, and during springtime it's also very beautiful, but when winter comes, then things get difficult. Well, so here there are certain signs, the writer says, that winter is coming. What are the signs? Birds begin to fly south. Of course, you know that birds migrate from colder regions to warmer regions. So there are certain signs that winter is approaching. The first thing is that birds begin to fly south. People want new warm coats. So people are looking for new warm coats for winter. And Soapy moves restlessly on his seat in the park. So there's another sign that Soapy moves restlessly on his seat in the park in Madison Square. When you see these signs, you know that winter is near. A dead leaf fell on Soapy's feet. That was a special sign for him that winter was coming. It was time for all who lived in Madison Square to prepare. Now, when the dead leaf fell on his feet, you know, leaves fall during autumn, and then comes winter. So you know that the winter is very near, and so it was time for everyone, all the homeless people, to find shelter. Soapy's mind now realized the fact. The time had come. He had to find some way to take care of himself during the cold weather, and therefore he moved restlessly on his seat. Now he needs to find a shelter, he needs to find a warm place in this cold weather. So now he's getting worried. Soapy's hopes for the winter were not very high. He was not thinking of sailing away on a ship. So he did not have very high hopes for winter. He was not thinking of sailing away on a ship to, like birds fly, to warmer regions. He could not go away to a warmer place on a ship. He was not thinking of southern skies or the Bay of Naples, the warmer areas. 3 months in the prison on Blackwell's Island was what he wanted. There was an island, Blackwell's Island, where there was a big prison, and that's where he wanted to go. Can you imagine? He wanted to go to prison. Why do you think he wanted to go to prison? To jail? Here. 3 months of food every day and a bed every night. 3 months safe from the cold north wind and safe from the cops. So now you know that when he's out there, he doesn't have a bed, he doesn't have food, he has to arrange for his own food with great difficulty, and what people give to him because he's homeless, that's what he eats. But then when he goes to prison on Blackwell's Island, what will he get? He will get, for 3 months during winter time, he will get food every day, and he will have a bed every night. Then there were 3 months safe from the north cold wind, the cold wind that blows in the winter time. He will get shelter from that, and of course safe from the cops. The cops means the policemen, because they come chasing them away from the park at night. So he will be safe from policemen. This is what Soapy wanted most in the world. Can you imagine? The most in the world at the moment, what did he want? He wanted to go to prison, for all the reasons, for all the good reasons, that he'll get food and shelter and warmth. For years, Blackwell's Island had been his winter home. So for years now, Blackwell's Island was his winter home. The prison was his winter home. Richer New Yorkers made their plans to go to Florida or to the shore of the Mediterranean Sea each winter. Well, richer New Yorkers, rich people from New York, they made plans to go to Florida. Florida is warmer, it is down south. And then, or they would go to the Mediterranean Sea every winter, because that's a warm area. Soapy made his small plans to go to the island. Well, Soapy's plans were not so grand. His plans were just to go to prison, to go to that island on which the prison was situated. And now the time had come. 3 big newspapers, some under his coat and some over his legs, had not kept him warm during the night in the park. So how did he keep himself warm? He wrapped himself with newspapers to keep himself warm. So under his coat he had newspapers, but those 3 newspapers did not keep him warm in the park at night. So Soapy was thinking of the island. There were places in the city where he could go and ask for food and a bed. This could be given to him. Well, there were places, where you could go, and you can, in the city, there are some people who do some social work. So, and the government also arranges for homeless people. So they have shelters for such people. So you could go and you could ask for food, and you could get a bed. These would be given to him. Of course, they would give to him. He could move from one building to another, and he would be taken care of through the winter. But he liked Blackwell's Island better. So he would be given food. He would go from one building to the other building, and which means that he would be free to move around. And those people, but he liked to go to the prison. It was Blackwell's Island was better, he thought. Soapy's spirit was proud. Well, he was a proud man. If he went to any of these places, There were certain things he had to do. In one way or another, he would have to pay for what they gave him. Well, if the social work people and the government people gave him shelter and food, he would have to do something in return, and that is, he would have to pay them in some way. They would not ask for him for money. Of course they will not ask him for money, but they would make him wash his whole body. Well, what would they do? They would make him wash his whole body. They would expect him to be clean. They would make him answer questions, and they would ask him so many questions, and he would have to answer their questions. They would want to know everything about his life. Such people who help others, and they help them. Such people who are psychologically, they are facing some problems, who are depressed. So these people help because they are providing shelter. They want to do good for a person. And here is Soapy. He doesn't even want to take a bath, so he doesn't want to go to them. All he wants to do is go to prison. And so, because they want to know everything about him, they want to help him out, but his Soapy's idea is that they are too nosy. They want to know everything about his life, and he doesn't want to give them his personal details. No, prison was better than that. The prison had rules that he would have to follow, but in prison, a gentleman's own life was still his own life. Well, in prison, he says a gentleman's own life is still his own life, which means that nobody bothered him, nobody asked him questions, where he came from, why he became homeless, etc., etc. And so he was a very private and very proud man, and he didn't want anyone to ask him any questions about his life. And so prison was a better option. Soapy, having decided to go to the island, at once began to move towards his desire. So his desire was to go to prison, and he started moving and started working towards going to prison. Now what will he do? We will continue this in the next class. Thank you.